Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Let's Talk on Win TV. I'm Jada Ingleton, and I'll be your temporary host. You did see a slight preview of our regular host, Denise Rolock Barnes, but she is actually on location, which we'll get to see some live interviewing and work from her as well. But on location, getting ready for tomorrow's highly anticipated MLK prayer breakfast. So, of course, sorry we gave you guys a sneak peek of what you're going to see in a few minutes. But just to kick us off, we have an exciting show today spotlighting the passionate individuals in Ward 8 or all over DC behind the MLK Holiday DC events taking place that started January 12th, but go all the way up to the actual federal holiday on Monday, January 19th. So before we get into today's conversations, of course, as always, make sure you pick up a copy of our most recent issue of the Washington Informer, where we have, speaking of MLK, a tribute to Martin Luther King's birthday in there. So many exciting stories, updates on the data center in Prince George's County. There you see our front. Mayoral Communal Walk, 100 shut down for the recalibrated local medical cannabis. That is a great story by one of our very own Sam P.K. Collins, and so much more exciting updates for you all. And if you can't get the printed copy, you can always access our digital edition on anytime at thewashingtoninformer.com, where you can also become a subscriber for free. That's free access to news daily through our exclusive e-news service, Win Daily. You can also get, like I said, access to our digital edition, our stories that go up daily before our Thursday weekly newspaper, and just in general, ways to figure out how you can support our publication and just stay engaged on the news. So moving forward, while we're tuning into today's show, feel free to spread the word. We have several social media platforms for this conversation to go on, from Facebook to Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, which is where this will actually be posted after today's show, LinkedIn, TikTok. Well, they call Twitter X now, excuse me, Twitter, X, whatever is more comfortable for you. I obviously still say Twitter. But whichever platform is your way of getting news, feel free to tune into this conversation and share it with others this afternoon. And then, of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Washington Informer TV, where you can watch some of the Let's Talk episodes that you might have missed. Now, we have a lot of action-packed show going on today. And one of the things they're all centering around is MLK Holiday DC. And specifically, we've had events from the prayer breakfast, which we'll talk about, the community cleanup project, the Peacewalk and Rally and Parade, that is a beloved district tradition. And that's not the only things that are going on. So on Monday, the National Action Network's Martin Luther King Jr. Day Awards breakfast, I had to write that down. As y'all can see, that was a mouthful, at the Salamander Hotel in Southwest. They'll be honoring former Attorney General Eric Holder, Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott, and Salamander Hotel's Sheila Johnson. Also going on Monday, the Martin Luther King Memorial Foundation will host a program at the MLK Memorial in Southwest, which will feature Maryland's very own Senator Angela Alsobrooks as the keynote speaker, and will also be in conjunction with the Ebenezer AME Church Choir, where Dr. Ricky Dillard is the choir master. So you can look forward to some community, some engagement, and some great singing, because the lineup features Brian Cage and Clifton Ross III. So definitely, when you're not tuned in to the MLK Holiday DC events, there's so much more all day going on for you to get involved with. And specifically in Ward 8, the annual MLK Holiday celebrations aim to engage our youth. They're here to help them understand not only MLK's legacy, but why it's important that we continue to uplift it even years after his death. So today, as we talk about the various events planned, we hope to inspire everyone not just to join, but to actually honor his extraordinary contributions and see where you can emulate a little bit of Dr. King in yourself. So without further ado, let's bring on our publisher and MLK Holiday co-chair, Denise Rolock Barnes.
So Jada, that's why the show kind of started like it did, because it was really up to you to do that masterful introduction. So I am so excited that it worked out like it did, because I'm still sitting here pushing buttons saying, sometimes you have the best of plans, but things work like they're supposed to. So thank you so very much for hosting the show today. You do an amazing job. So you might give me a chance to retire. At any rate, moving on, we're excited, to talk about the MLK Holiday DC events, actually that kick off tomorrow morning. I am actually sitting here in the hallway of Covenant Baptist Church, where our annual MLK prayer breakfast, MLK DC prayer breakfast, will be held tomorrow morning. And I know we're going to have Reverend Wanda Thompson on to talk about the details of the prayer breakfast. This is our seventh annual prayer breakfast, and we are so excited because it looks like the tickets are almost all sold out. And we have a great lineup of folks who are really going to give honor and tribute to the life and legacy of Dr. King. I want folks to remember that Dr. King's birthday actually was yesterday, January the 15th. And so we focus a lot on the holiday, but this holiday was established to honor his birth. And so January 15 was the day that he was born. I should have the year, but I don't have that in front of me. But at any rate, you know that his life was short lived because he dedicated it to, um, you know, a vision, a dream that he had that this world would become a place where there was equality, justice, and freedom and opportunity for people all over, not just Black folks, but people all over, but specifically those of us who look like him, those of us in the Black community. So I'm going to move on now because I think at this point we're going to bring on Reverend Thompson. Wanda Thompson, the pastor of Ambassador Baptist Church on Minnesota Avenue in Southeast, who is also the host and coordinator of the annual MLK Prayer Breakfast. So, Reverend Thompson, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Denise, I have to
So,
let you know it's the eighth annual
time is
MLK
flying.
prayer.
Is it the eighth? Why I keep
It's
saying
eight.
seven? Wow, and it's right there in front of my eyes. The eighth annual MLK Prayer Breakfast. Wow, and you've been doing a wonderful job all those years, Reverend Thompson. So we appreciate you. But tell us what folks can look forward to tomorrow if they're able to make it, and if they can't, you will talk about how they can access it through our live stream.
Well, I'm excited to say that I think that this is going to be a great breakfast, and it's going to be multi-generational, interfaith, and I think that people will really find that it has a lot of components that really honor Dr. King and the spirit of the work that he had done. So we're just excited to have people to come out to hear. There will be young people who will be performing. There will be prayers. There will be also the essay winner is going to read their essay, and then we're going to have someone to do a speech of one of Dr. King's speeches. So there's a lot in store for everyone that comes, and of course, it's going to be a wonderful breakfast.
So, because we won't have anyone on from the Marion Barry Youth Leadership Institute, but I know that those are the essay winners that you're speaking of, and they did do an essay contest for
Yes.
elementary, middle, and high school students.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about that?
Well, they had essays at the high school, the middle school, and the elementary school level. And the winner is going to be announced tomorrow. So we're looking forward to that. And they were really talking about statehood. And so it'll be just important for people to hear what they have to say, what their take on it is. And so we just encourage people to come out. And I will say that we are going to have the two youth mayors in attendance and all as well. So again, we just want you to come out. This will certainly spotlight the excellence of our youth, as well as the contributions of people in the community who are very active in the community as well.
Jade, I'm going to toss to you for a minute. I think I've got a call coming in. We're still trying to get some things coordinated for the parade, and I'm going to hop off for a second.
Go ahead, DRB. Like I said, folks, live and in studio. So Reverend Thompson, I know we talked about it a little bit earlier, but for our audience, can you tell us what inspired specifically tomorrow's keynote speaker?
Well, our speaker is going to be Bishop Mary Ann Buddy. and she's with the Episcopal Diocese of Washington. And some of you may remember that for the inaugural service at the National Cathedral, when Bishop Buddy was speaking, she had asked the president, pleaded with him to have mercy on people. And we know that this was upsetting to him. I think he found it offensive. But what it spoke to us about was the level of compassion that she has for people, the mercy, the love that she has, the social justice indicators. And so for that, we felt like it would be good for her to come and speak to the community and all is well too, because we feel like those are qualities and virtues that Dr. King lifted up as well too. And so that's why we have her coming, and we were delighted that she accepted the invitation.
And I really like the point you brought up about, we're seeing a little bit of some of those ideals that Dr. King had in modern faith leaders, in the activists and community organizers such as yourself that keep his name alive. So with that being said, can you tell me, what does Dr. King mean to you personally? And where do you see his mission in the mission for 2026?
I think that Dr. King was a person who espoused love, but he also spoke to the fact that when we see injustice, we cannot sit by and let it go unchallenged. And so, that's what he essentially said. And particularly, he said it to clergy as well, too, that there cannot be inaction on our parts. But I think for everyone, he says, just when you sit back and you see something happening, it's almost as if you're perpetrating it yourself. And so when we see things that are wrong in our community, we're called upon to do something. And what he means to me is that even with doing that, he espoused love, and he essentially said, to paraphrase, that we're either going to live together as brothers or perish together as fools. So, we really have to work together to have our community be what we want to see it be. And that is our call. And he did that. And I think for time eternal, he's going to be the example of someone who used nonviolent techniques. But that didn't mean that he didn't do anything. It just meant that the challenges that he made were not violent challenges, but they certainly challenged the system. And we know that it did because he was assassinated for his beliefs.
Mm-hmm. And even just in, having the pleasure of covering things about MLK, or even just, civil rights leaders in the last year, learning about his instrumental role in the Montgomery bus boycott. It's more than the I Have a Dream speech. When he was assassinated, he was literally championing sanitation workers in Memphis, Tennessee. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think he continued to serve and to meet people where they were and to see what the needs were in community and to really rally people around those needs and all as well too. And he believed in the dignity of individuals and all as well too. And I think that's something that we lose even in the present day, that the focus is not on human dignity, but if anything, it seems to be demeaning. And I think that's why Bishop Buddy, again, was basically saying, have mercy. We need to look at people as human beings, as people with dignity, who have a right to due process. And when we're not doing that, we're not looking out for our brothers and our sisters. And he exemplified what it means to be a good neighbor.
Absolutely. And before as my co-host / publisher rejoins us, she might have another question or two for you. But what I'm interested to share with the audience is I do understand that actually the 8th annual prayer breakfast is sold out, so people cannot attend. But how can people catch up on the information or see what's going on if they can't make it in person?
It is going to be live streamed through YouTube, so that people will be able to attend. And, in reference to it being sold out, I guess the only thing that I can say to that is, we don't know if people will stay through the entire thing. We're not encouraging people to come out and be turned away. But if you have someone who's just desperate to get in, they may want to come and just wait and see if seats become available. I'm not suggesting that that's the thing to do, but again, we're sold out, and it is going to be live streamed on YouTube.
Thank you so much, Reverend Thompson. And folks, you can also get engaged where you can find that live stream, where you will be notified when the live stream is up by following MLK Holiday DC on their social media. tapping in. MLK Holiday DC 115 specifically for Facebook, IG, and Twitter/X. DRB, did you have anything else that you wanted to throw into this conversation before you bring on our next guest?
Well, I just want to say I just had a conversation. You know, Reverend Thompson knows I come up with these ideas, and so anyway, I'm so excited that I just spoke with the choir director of Eastern High School, and they have an amazing choir. Some of our high schools, you know, Reverend Thompson was very clear in the beginning, as we all have been, that it's important for us to engage as many young people as we can in all of these MLK events, because that's how the legacy continues. You know, Dr. King's not only dream, but all the other things that you all talked about. And so, you know, to have the Eastern High School Choir joining us tomorrow, I'm really excited about that. And for those that are going to be in the room, you know, they will enjoy. For those that live stream, I think they'll enjoy them as well. Reverend Thompson, it looks like they're coming 25 strong. So those extra seats we may end up giving to them. But anyway, so I mean, I think that's the part that's really important. And also, I don't know if she did because I was on a call, but I don't know if she talked about how we have really tried to engage, you know, the clergy from all walks of life. You know, not only Baptist or UCC, where we are now, Covenant is Baptist UCC, and also the Islamic community and Reverend Buddy. I know that the cathedral, they're going to have folks coming tomorrow as well. So it's an interfaith event as well. And I don't know if Reverend Thompson talked about that or if she had any more she wanted to say about that.
I did mention that it is interfaith, and in the past we have had folks from the Christian, the Muslim, and the Jewish faiths to join us, as well as others and those who don't have any faith at all. But we have certainly, you know, tried to appeal to folks to come out. And as I mentioned, you know, we think of this as multi-generational, multi-faith, and so it is something that's broad. And that's what community is. It's all about diversity, and all is well too. And we champion that. And so we're just excited to have people coming and to be with one another, and to again, just understand what it means to have good fellowship and to be good neighbors and to look out for one another. That's what we're called upon to do. That's how we show love. And I'm just grateful that we're going to be able to do that.
And I want to add one more thing too, Jada, because I've been at this for a long time. You know, the MLK parade, the first parade, the destination was where I am right now at Covenant. It was Covenant Baptist Church on Martin Luther King Avenue in Southwest. It's just across the other side of South Capitol Street. But you know, just this church itself represents diversity. Because as the LGBTQ community was sort of being, I don't know, disregarded in many ways, Covenant opened its doors to the folks, to all people, and made all people feel at home. So this is a good place, I think. And Dr. King was, you know, on the side of people who came from all different kinds of backgrounds. So I think it's representative of him and his, you know, his mission and his purpose, and the people for whom he worked to be in this place, kind of where we started, and that has opened its doors to all.
And, you know, I mean, that raises a point, because I also spoke with your other half, Stuart Anderson, DRB, and, you know, he shared that, you know, a lot of the foundation of MLK Holiday DC does come from these 4 specific churches, one of them being Covenant Baptist, Living Word Church. One of the names escapes me, but I do remember Baptist Memorial was one of them. But I don't want to, yes. And I don't want to, you know, misspeak for the last one, but 4 pivotal churches were a part of it. And that kind of speaks to the overall mission of the Black church when it comes to social justice. So can you both shed a little bit of light, you know, as someone who's kind of carried that mantle from not DRB, from MLK? How do you see that in today's time, the role of the Black church when it comes to stewarding social justice and activism in the community?
I'm gonna punt that to Reverend Thompson because that's that's who she works with on a daily basis.
Right.
Well, I do think that it is important for Black churches to really garner as much support as they can in the community and within the church to come out and to fight injustice. We know that there's a lot of injustice that's out there. We know that people are not treated in humane ways. We know that rights are being trampled on. We know so much is going wrong right now, and people are really suffering. And so it's up to the Black church to set an example, to come out, to be on the front lines, to really fight injustice. Injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. I know I'm paraphrasing with that, but I just want to say that that's what we're called upon to do, to make sure that as citizens in this country that we all receive due process, that we all receive the things we need to, that we learn how to show love and mercy and compassion towards our neighbors, and that's all very important. And we have to speak truth to power. When those in power are wrong, when those in power are doing things that hurt the community, then we have to step up and say something, because that's what we're called to do. And Jesus himself was a revolutionary who spoke truth to power and who really had issues with when those in power mistreated everyday people. And we certainly want to stand up for the least, the last, and the lost as well too. And so it's just up to us as the Black church to make sure that we're doing all the kinds of things that we believe that God would call us out to do.
I love that word,
Well,
Reverend
and I
Thompson.
want to jump in there a little bit, Jada,
Mhm.
because I know that pre-COVID, the churches, as far as messaging and congregations and what have you, we're declining, and I'm not sure, and maybe that's a question. I know that you asked um, the pastor of Metropolitan AME at one point. And then COVID really devastated a lot of churches, right? Also, economic development in cities where churches were, pushed out, and residents who no longer, lived in cities where churches existed, and they started moving out into the suburbs. But when people talk about the church, we're talking about the people.
Yeah.
It's the people. It's not a building, because the building itself is just representative of the house of the Lord and the people who come there to worship. So, I hope that this opportunity that we have, to reflect on Dr. King is also an opportunity that we take to discover what our role is in magnifying God's work through the work that we do. So I want to see because I kind of go from church to church, and I want to see those pulpits full, not pulpits but the pews
Mhm.
full again, with people who really want to act upon what Dr. King was all about.
Oh,
I
that's a
don't
beautiful
know
way
if
to
I
put
get an
it.
amen from Reverend Thompson, but I'm going to take it anyway.
I think you'll get an amen from me, DRB. That was that's a good word. Thank you, Reverend
Amen.
Thompson.
Amen.
Well, thank you, Reverend Thompson, so much. I know you're quite literally in the middle of making this happen for us tomorrow with the 8th annual prayer breakfast. So thank you for joining us. And I know DRB is also going to bring on a couple of more pivotal members of MLK Holiday DC and what we have going on. So DRB, you want to take it away? Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Somebody's knocking on the door, I guess, trying to get into the church. So I'm gonna point it back to you, Jada, and then I'll come back in a minute.
All right, no problem.
All right, thanks.
Things are happening live and in stereo. They're trying to fill those pews right here, right now. So can't fill them until tomorrow at 9:30, but we appreciate the energy. So I will go ahead and bring on our next guest. We want to talk a little bit now specifically about the Peacewalk Rally and Parade. This year is the 21st annual Peacewalk Rally and Parade. And for those who don't know, shameless bragging rights for DC, the Peacewalk Rally and Parade actually predates the official federal holiday for MLK. So before anybody else was doing it, DC was doing it. And we have not only, of course, our founders of MLK Holiday DC to thank for that, but the people like who's just joining me here, Dewan Mason, who've been very pivotal and active in keeping MLK's legacy alive. So, Dewan, thank you for joining us.
Hi, Jada. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Why don't you tell our guests who you are and what your contribution is for MLK Holiday DC Week?
So, as you just said, I'm Dewan Mason, and I am the co-chair of the Peace Rally with the amazing Ed Hardy, who couldn't be here today, unfortunately. But we have been trying to keep in the spirit of the Peace Rally. We are the face first of the parade. We step it off at 10:30, but we also have a rally to engender people to believe in the peace that Dr. King spoke about, to encourage the community to keep pushing for peace, especially in these times where peace seems to be nothing at all that people are striving for.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what the Peace Rally is about. We do about an hour's programming, and we just try to get messaging out there that follows with the theme.
Excellent. And where exactly does this step off take place?
So we're going to be at Firth Sterling and Sumner Roads this year, right across from all of the construction that's happening in Barry Farm. So right at that corner, if people come up Sumner, they'll see us. We have a little area where there'll be a stage, there'll be a crowd. We've got groups that are bringing 75 people with them to show up for us.
Absolutely. I think a big part of it also in maintaining that message of peace is kind of letting people visualize or maybe practice what some of the MLK and some of our freedom fighters, the John Lewises of the world, were doing. So why is it important that we can not only just discuss, but physically remember the sacrifices and actions that civil rights leaders took?
Because we need to carry this on for our children. So it's not about just sitting at the dinner table and talking about what Dr. King did. It really is, even with the John Lewises of the world, even with the Stokely Carmichaels of the world, it is talking about what we as a community need to move forward. It's what Reverend Thompson talked about earlier when she talked about interfaith and multi-generational focuses on what peace really means for our community. Because you can listen to the news, not the Informer, because y'all don't do this, but you can listen to the news and get negative narratives about our community.
Absolutely.
We need someone who is out here telling our stories and telling it from a place where we're not necessarily heroes, but we're doing the right thing. Which is why for the Peace Rally this year, we're focusing on young people, and we're going to let them be the storytellers, and we're going to let them tell us what they need to move forward in peace.
And I think that was a big part, even in the civil rights movement as a whole, the young leaders who were stepping up. These were college students, some high school students that were taking this initiative for a huge movement. So what do you think? I mean, there is a little bit, I would say, especially in this current political climate, a little bit of disconnect when it comes to young people and religion, young people and politics. How do we address that in keeping up with MLK's vision and legacy?
So what we don't do is expect young people to do what we did. I am a child of parents who were in the civil rights movement, who had front row seats to the sit-ins. So I grew up hearing all of that. And what was poured into me was it's important to give back. Young people have a different mindset. They're going to give back in different ways. We need to adopt what they're doing. We need to respect what they're doing. We need to listen to what they're doing. But what we don't need to do is allow them to skew history. You know what I'm saying? We don't need anyone to believe that Black people started out as an enslaved population. We don't need to believe that we had slavery, Reconstruction, the civil rights movement, and now we're free. We don't need to believe that we're in a post-racial environment, but we need all of those voices at the table, all of those people who understand how one part of history is bringing us to this moment, so we can speak together and move together. So if young people have a new way of moving toward peace, if they have a new way of speaking about peace and what it means to them, let's listen to them. And at the same time, let's ask them to listen to us so we can collaborate, because that's the only way we're going to move forward. We can't move forward in different factions and sections. We're too compartmentalized. And if we're going to get our stuff on social media, then let's use social media for its benefit and not its detriment.
Absolutely. And that is a word. And I'll go ahead and add, we have a story actually coming up about the MLK student essay competition that dives into that, specifically engaging the youth in a time of social media. So I love that point that you brought. And I want to actually bring on Keita Williams for this next question for both of you. Just in general, would love to learn about what are some of the highlights of this year's Peacewalk Rally and Parade. What can Washingtonians look forward to? Keita, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So before you guys answer the question, Keita, please give us your full introduction as well.
Oh, I'm Keita Williams. I'm a member of the MLK committee. I started out with the branding website and social media, but I've warped into logistics and supporting the planning. So I'm happy to be here.
Excellent. So we'll get into a little bit of the planning process, but I do just want to know, what are some of the highlights that we're going to look forward to on Monday, January 19th?
Absolutely. Like Dewan said, it's going to kick off with the Peace Rally at 9:30 a.m. on Sumner Road at Firth Sterling in Southeast DC, followed by the Peace Walk, which will step off at 10:30 a.m. And the parade will follow that with a step off at 11 a.m. So we have about 130 groups, over 3,000 participants. So it's going to be a real show. The Health and Wellness Fair will be located in the PNC parking lot off of MLK, right next door to Far Southeast. It opens at 10:30, ends at 2. And the volunteer cleanup check-in will also be in the PNC parking lot.
Awesome. And I do have to know, we're back outside. Last year we had it indoor.
Yes. I think the community loved the outdoors.
Yes, definitely.
Sure.
I'm excited because this will actually be my first MLK parade outdoors. I was there last year and it was indoors, and I was like, oh, I wonder what this looks like outside, guys. So I'm excited.
Although we may not love it, but it's really pretty when the snow comes. But you know, the photos, like, it just feels good. Like, it feels different.
I hope I'll agree with you on Monday if it's snowing. I hope I have that same feeling. So, Keita, my next question, talking about the planning, how do you work to, or even just in talking specifically about this year's, how do we keep it fresh? You know, MLK's legacy is what it's always been. How do we kind of continue to reinvigorate that year after year?
Well, listen, first of all, it starts with our leadership. Our co-chairs, Denise Rolark Barnes and Stuart Anderson, they are great leaders, okay? They empower us, they empower the community to come together and bring the ideas, bring their strengths and their resources and their motivation to contribute to the MLK holiday. And so literally, I don't feel like they turn anyone away. So it's literally a big committee who comes together and put all this planning together. They bring ideas, and we live by this thing. If you speak it, you're responsible for it.
I need to adapt that on this side.
Yeah. We're really great at breeding other leaders. And so it starts with them. And then the committee members themselves, the volunteers, our partners, our sponsors, they all come together to help us really keep this alive and keep fresh perspective, you know. So it's a really great team.
And, you know, speaking of something that is new every year, the theme, if either of you want to talk about specifically our 2026 theme, the struggle is real, the fight is still, yes?
Yes.
So what does that mean to you all, first and foremost? And what do you hope it means to people that are participating this week?
All right, I'll jump in. So the struggle continues. We're still struggling for peace in our homes, peace in the land, peace across the world. So the fight is still, it's not something that's in the past, and we need everyone to link arms and join in the fight. That's the only way. It's oxymoronic that you have to say you have to fight for peace.
Yeah.
But peace does not come easily.
Absolutely.
And so the fight is still here in 2026. We're still fighting for peace.
Yeah.
Excellent. And I think sometimes we lose sight a little bit of the full legacy. And I think that's part of what the Community Cleanup Project does, is add something else about MLK's contributions. So why is it important that we highlight the whole man and not just one thing that he was known for, one part of his life?
Because it's unfair to him, and it's unfair to his legacy. So Dr. King wasn't just the man who stood at the Lincoln Memorial and gave a speech, any more than George Floyd was a man who unfortunately lost his life for 9 minutes by someone who had their knee on him. Dr. King was a full-blown, fully fledged, there's a word I'm looking for that I can't find, but he was a full human being, and we need to honor his humanity. We need to honor every piece of him, the love he had for his wife, the love he had for his children, the love he had for his community, the love he had for his church. And to your point earlier, Jada, we remember Dr. King was 26 when he launched the bus boycott in Montgomery. So this is not a fight that is just for older people. This really is a fight that is led by the youth, and we need to honor that as well. So honoring youth honors the leadership that Dr. King and others showed. John Lewis was not even 21 at the March on Washington. So we need to respect that. We need to respect the brilliance that shows up in our young people that was exemplified by the entire person that Dr. King was.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I totally agree. For younger generations, Dr. King's message hits home when we connect it to what we're already experiencing. So he wasn't just dreaming, he was organizing, he was challenging systems, he was pushing for real change in real time. And so issues like voting rights, economic equity, and mental health, housing, and the right to be heard are exactly what he was fighting for. And so to me, Dr. King reminds us that justice doesn't happen by accident. It happens when people show up, speak up, and stand together. And that's exactly what we do with the Peacewalk and Parade.
Excellent. I know you're absolutely right. That put it in perspective. Not even 21 at the March on Washington for John Lewis. I'm 24. I haven't done no March on Washington. And I don't know if I could if I wasn't even 21. But that's amazing. That really does put in perspective, like it can start with anybody. And it starts with the first move. So I mean, in general, just hoping that the youth take that away from this year as well. Can you guys talk a little bit about the health and wellness fair, and specifically the community cleanup project? What goes on with those two parts of the week?
Yeah, so the community cleanup project is chaired by John Zotoli and Maurice Fauci. So they've connected with the city, the mayor's office of Clean City. I believe I said that correctly. So they're supporting this effort. They'll provide the trash bags, the pickups, and so you come, you check in. You can even register from our website to sign up, and then you check in and help clean the streets of Anacostia. And so we ask that you just dedicate whatever time you can, but it's between 10:30 and 2 p.m. Check-in again is in PNC parking lot where the health and wellness fair will be located. And so the health and wellness fair led by Wendell Wren, and he's so adamant our partners must show up and not sell anything. Okay, it's about free resources, free information, free access to, yes, exactly. And so we have wonderful partners: Therm DC, Bridge, WellPoint. I'm so sorry. Brick something. I forgot. I'm sorry. But our partners are there and they're showing up and they're supporting. We have a full house. There'll be a tent and you can look forward to go inside to get the resources and meet the partners.
Excellent. And when you say the streets of Anacostia for the cleanup, is it a specific area in Anacostia or just like where the sign up will start pretty much?
It's within the vicinity of the parade route.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, awesome. So why do you guys feel it's important that MLK Day is a day on and not off?
Go ahead, Dawn.
Because he was a man of service.
Mm-hmm.
And what he did and how he was martyred. It's more important to give back than to just look for a sale in a store. And whatever giving back looks like, showing up for a parade, going to a prayer breakfast, going to hear Senator Also Brooks, whatever that looks like is to me highlights what his life was for, what his life was about.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what about you, Keita? For you, what does it mean?
Well, his I guess his legacy to me isn't just history, it's a blueprint, and the question I think is, do you not only know his dream or know the history, but what are you doing with it? And so I think that, like, for myself, I'm not the history buff like Dewan. I love to listen to her speak, and she's passionate about it. And I learn from a lot of the team members. But wherever my strengths lie, how God built me and the great things he put in me, I use that to contribute and do my part. And so I think we all should.
I love that. Well, before I let you ladies go back, it's a lot of planning. It's a lot going on in these next few days. So we appreciate your time. And just final thoughts, of course, anything that you do want to add in general. But also, I would love to know, how do you want the world, and specifically Washingtonians, to remember MLK 50 years from now, 100 years from now? Or how do you hope, how do you hope they will?
I hope that they will take it personally, like really dive in and be intentional about learning and serving. And then follow us on social media. MLK Holiday DC 115 for the next 50 to 100 years.
That's part of it. Yes. And what about you, Nuwan?
One of my favorite speeches is when Dr. King spoke about his funeral and he wanted to be remembered as a drum major. And that's what I'd like to carry for the next 150 years, that he was a drum major for peace and a drum major for justice, that it really was doing the greater good for the greatest good. He didn't just do it for the Black community, but he understood that if the Black community got civil rights, then everyone would be taken care of. And so if we fight for us, then we can fight for everyone else, which is why it's so important to continue to do this. Not because it's great and we're going to have amazing choirs and bands and people watching, but because it really does remind you of the sacrifices that were made and that we're still making, and we're still fighting.
Absolutely. And before I let DRB take over, I'm going to answer my own question because Dewan brought it up earlier, and it's really true. I spoke with the Reverend Gerald Durley, based in Georgia, but he was one of the people that was a part of the March on Washington. He was there during the Civil Rights Movement. Shameless plug, like Keita did, catch it in the Informer special edition next week. But yes, I interviewed Reverend Durley, and that's exactly what he said. The interview specifically was surrounding MLK's birthday, which DRB mentioned was yesterday. But I wanted to ask him, well, how do you remember someone as someone who physically knew MLK? How do you remember him? And the first thing he said was, I remember him as a man of great humility. He said he said Dr. King wasn't a civil rights leader. He was a husband. He was a father. He was this, and that. And he used those characteristics to become a civil rights leader. So if anything, I think that's part of a big takeaway of remembering Dr. King is it's not the actions, but it was the man behind the action and how he led those movements and took those steps with that. Answered my own question, but both your responses led me to remember that, and I thought that was important as well. Yeah. So thank you both so much. DRB, you want to hop in this conversation?
Yeah, I don't want to prolong it. It's been amazing. It's really, really been amazing, and I feel deeply like Dewan. I know where she went a few minutes ago, and it's hard not to go there when you really think about the man who actually knew he was going to.
Darn.
Wow.
She was gonna say something.
Yes, I was on the edge, waiting.
Oh no! Hopefully, we could get DRB back before we close out. I almost don't want to let you guys. Well, I'll let her have her thoughts if she comes back. I'll let you guys go. Thank you both so much for your time and thorough responses today. by all means, for all our followers, for everybody watching, please follow MLK Holiday DC 115. Is that right?
Yes.
Perfect. Stay tuned. Check out the prayer breakfast tomorrow. Definitely see what events you want to get involved with on Monday. Do not miss that parade. Sun, snow, rain, sleet, as Keita says. It's a good time. It's a good time.
Jada, thank you so much. You're a really great host.
You really are. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate meeting you guys, and I hope we'll get to connect again soon in the next few days.
We will.
Awesome. Bye. Have a good one.
Bye.
While I cross my fingers and toes that DRB will get to finish her thought before we actually end the show, I do just want to kind of piggyback on what I was saying earlier about what MLK means to me personally, as I guess part of that young generation that these events are, tailored towards. It really is specifically, I would say, working on MLK this year. I think I've learned more and been able to appreciate Martin Luther King and his vision a lot more in my older age than learning Black History Month at school or just hearing about him through textbooks. I really do think events like MLK Holiday DC make a difference, because not only do you get to practice a little bit of what MLK was preaching all the time, but you also get to see how it still resonates all these years later. And our guests are 110% right. If it's not necessarily about just for the Black community, it's about everybody, but it can start with the Black community. And I think that's a lot of the work that we're continuing here in DC. I think that's a lot of where my passion has been fueled, kind of, if you will, carrying a little bit from MLK's legacy. And I would just say, I hope to continue to learn and appreciate the man that we're celebrating up until and year round. It should be year round, but the man that we are specifically honoring through Monday, January 19th. I hope everyone can take a little bit away from all these events, especially the community cleanup, because one thing that is extremely important about that is MLK did have a foot in also, addressing environmental justice and tackling issues that had to do with Black communities and environmental racism. So he really was more than that famed speech. He was more than that day in 1963. So I do believe DRB will be joining us, and she will definitely take it from here. There she is. DRB, we are dying to know what you were going to say. Okay, well, yeah, there.
I think I died trying to say it almost, Jada. I don't remember, but I do want to bring up a point, and just to give Reverend Pastor Young a few minutes to jump on, because as I keep mentioning, we're here at Covenant. Covenant was one of those original churches, the original church where the parade ended. Stevie Wonder was here, and it has consistently been a part of this event every year. So I wanted him to give a few words and then talk about, and if he can just jump onto my screen, but to talk about the lecture series that's coming. But I was going to say to you really quickly, Jada, when Dr. King was assassinated, I was in junior high school, and I saw what happened in the city as a result of that, of his murder. And it was at that point when our junior high school brought on our first Black history teacher. And it seems as though it takes, sadly, situations like this for us to demand the things that we should always have and to get the things that we ask for or demand to have. So yeah, I mean, that was one of my favorite teachers, and it put me on a path, and along with my parents. So I'm going to stop there because Reverend Young is here. He's the pastor of Covenant Baptist UCC here on Martin Luther King Avenue. And I'm going to maybe ask him to slide over with me, or I'll just hand this over to him. Yes. Right. Okay, there we are.
Hello, great to be with you all. We're on three corners: MLK, Xenia Street, and South Capitol Street, Southwest.
So, Reverend Young, tell them about the lecture series that you started actually a couple of years ago.
Yes.
And what's going to happen this weekend.
Yes, we felt that a few years ago that we needed to add a sort of teach-in component to our events for the weekend. And so we began an MLK lecture series, and this will be the third year for that, and it'll be here in the sanctuary of Covenant Baptist UCC. And our speaker, our lecturer for the evening, as well as our preacher for that Sunday morning for the commemorative service, is Reverend Dr. Forrest Harris, who is a retired now HBCU president of for a long time of American Baptist College in Nashville, Tennessee, which incidentally is my alma mater, undergraduate alma mater. But he's also a professor at Vanderbilt University Divinity School in Nashville. And he did a lot of work with civil rights leaders like Kelly Miller Smith and John Lewis. And in fact, John Lewis was a student at American Baptist College before going on to Fisk. So, and the school itself, American Baptist, was very instrumental in the civil rights movement in Nashville and the sit-in movement and all of that. And of course, people like Reverend Kelly Miller Smith and others were major leaders in that city. And so Dr. Harris has been instrumental there in keeping the school open, as so many HBCUs now are struggling to remain open. But he did the great work of keeping that Baptist school open. And it is a monument of that history in the state of Tennessee. And so we're honored to have him come. And he's no stranger to Covenant. He's been a longtime friend of the former pastors or emeritus pastors here. And so we welcome him wholeheartedly, both to the lecture as well as to the commemorative service as the preacher. Many years ago, Dr. Harris, in the 90s, he staged a national conversation with other Black theologians about what does it mean to be Black and Christian. And so we're hoping that he can stage for us about 30 years later, a conversation on what does it mean to be Black and religious, including all of our religious affiliations and none in the Black community today. What does it mean to be Black and religious in the age of Trump? And so that'll be our main focus for the weekend for our events.
Thank you. Reverend Young, with the 2 minutes that we have left before we have to close, I mentioned earlier about Covenant's history of being an inclusive church. And we also talked a little bit with Reverend Thompson about, the faith community kind of sort of picking up the mantle of Dr. King. Can you, I guess, expound on both of those briefly, but why Covenant, is such an inclusive church and what that does to reflect on Dr. King's mission?
Yeah, well, it's interesting that and I was coming into the conversation as you all were talking about how things were after his assassination. And this church actually was founded in 1945 as an all-white Southern Baptist church. And by 1968, the community was changing dramatically from all white to all Black. There was still a white congregation here at Covenant. And the last white pastor, in fact, we had a conversation with them, the family of the last white pastor. They remember how, the riots extended even down here to what is now, MLK. And they remembered the horror of all of that, and as well being angry as well of the racism and the assassination of Dr. King and what that meant. And so this church has kind of been in the thick of of things over the last 50 or so years, where you're talking about, the riots after Dr. King's assassination, or you're talking about the height of the AIDS epidemic in the 1980s, where, this church was one of the first to open its doors, one of the first Black churches to open its doors to AIDS, HIV patients, to LGBTQ peoples. And eventually we've become an all-inclusive and affirming congregation of the United Church of Christ and of the Baptist Church. And so we're still kind of, a exception to the rule of traditionalism in the Black church, and the conservatism that is people distinguish with many African American Baptist churches, and of course, our calling card is that we continue to be in the community, at the forefront of the community, doing peace walks and trying to encourage community, togetherness in this neighborhood of Bellevue, and people know us by that. And so in these times, where so much of our heritage and our history and our rights are being taken away, it's so very more important than ever for Black churches, especially, to be open-minded. It's time for us to open our minds, to open our hearts to our communities, to the young adults, the young people who want to be in an inclusive, affirming community where, where even they know that their friends can be comfortable in. And we're excited about, seeing a growth in this church of young people who want to be not just Sunday morning Christians, but want to see a church out in the community on a regular basis, want to be a part of something that will transform our community, our city, and our nation, and our world. If we can't continue to do it, we will lose this generation. And so let this MLK Day, because this MLK weekend, because it may well be the last MLK weekend that we can celebrate freely without, they've already, opened up the national parks, the federal parks. Who's to say what they will do next with MLK Day? Because we already know this week that the dictator in chief does not like the civil rights movement, because he said that white people were treated very badly. How awful is that? How wrong is that? Yeah. And so more than ever, we need to be out supporting the life and legacy of Martin Luther King and all of those who fought for the rights that we are losing this very day. I think, in my mind, of people like Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth, who was one of my mentors growing up in Cincinnati, and his family. His daughter had the right for my parents to whoop me if I got out of line, and so we had that kind of relationship with. I'm still honored to have that relationship with that family. And so this time is very important. It's very deep to me. And we encourage all churches, all people of faith to join in the festivities and the events this weekend, because it may well be the last time we can do it freely.
So we've run over, but I just wanted to ask Reverend Young, because we've talked about Covenant, but we haven't told people where Covenant is. So can you share the address?
Yes.
And what time the program is, I think, on Saturday evening as well as Sunday
Yes,
morning.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah, 3845 South Capitol Street Southwest, right here in Bellevue. Again, corner of Xenia, MLK, and South Capitol. The lecture is at 6 p.m. tomorrow here in the sanctuary. You can enter from the front doors. And then the service, the Sunday morning service, begins at 10 a.m.
All right. I'm so glad you made it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I'm glad I did too.
So that we could add this to our program today and invite, our viewers to come and just commemorate the life and legacy of Dr. King with us this weekend. So hope to see you there. Jada, I think that's really it. Do you want to jump on with me so we can say so long?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
This afternoon, and I want to thank you so much for hosting Let's Talk. I've had some internet problems and all kinds of things. You did the doggone thing, my sister. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. I took inspiration from our original host. So happy. And thank you all for all our guests that joined today, for all the pivotal conversations. Reverend Young, it was great that we could have you on in this last minute. But for everybody, please, once again, stay tuned on all MLK Holiday DC events from tomorrow's prayer breakfast to the many activations going on Monday. So MLKHolidayDC.org. Don't forget to connect via social media with MLK Holiday DC 115. And until then, that's all we have. Join our Reporters Roundtable next Friday at noon. And thank you all so much. Have a great MLK holiday.
See ya. All right.